Alright, I'm going to tie a purple haze. Got a size 12 dry fly hook in the vise. I'm going to use some 30 denier GSP from Vivas. Start my thread about a bodkin width behind the eye. Go back to the halfway point. Trim out my tag. And now back forward about half of that distance. I'm going to use calf tail for the post. I start at the bottom and work to the top. It makes it a little easier to pull off portions of it. I'm going to get a little chunk out to the side. I'm going to twist it. And I'm going to measure it. I'm looking for about 1/3 to half the hook gap of hair when it's compressed together. Now I can come in and trim that out. I'm going to kind of clean this out. And you roll it in your fingers. Pinch and roll. I don't want to go overboard here because I'm going to lose some more in the stacking process, but I'm going to put it into my stacker. And I'll usually do this again. Just kind of go through and take out any crazies. Okay, I'll stack it one more time. Whoops. It stayed in there. Alright. Try it one more time. There we go. I'm looking for about half, or I'm sorry, the whole, not half the hook shank, the whole hook shank length. Be a pretty short post. And then once I have my distance, I'll come in, quickly clean everything else up. Pinch right on top of where my thread's resting. I'm going to do 2 pin traps over the top and pull up. And I can lift that front post. I'm going to put 5 or 6 turns in front of it. Nice and tight. Just one more over the back, nice and tight. We don't want this to move on us. I'm going to lift all this up, cut it at an angle. Okay. Now I'm going to start wrapping back. Get rid of that guy. Okay. I'm going to come back to about the barb. For the tail, I'm using some microfibbits. These are just in like a dun color. And I'll grab, probably a dozen or so. Just pull them straight out to the side so that they're pretty close to being evenly lined up. And I'll trim it off at the base. Now for the tail, I'm going to go a minimum 1 length of the hook shank. I'm going to probably bump that up just a little bit, maybe like 1.5 times. Set it down right on top of my thread. 2 pin traps over. While I'm keeping tension on my thread, I can let go and see how far back that's going to go. That's probably just a fuzz further than I want it. Don't want it too far back. Okay, that looks a little better. So I've got 2 or 3 wraps over the top. I'm going to sneak a wrap underneath, pulling it forward to lift the tail. Make another wrap around, going towards the hook eye so it doesn't collapse the tail down. You can kind of adjust it as you need to. Like that. Alright, now I'm going to start wrapping this guy forward. Before I get to where my post is, I'm going to bring my scissors in right on top where that post base is going. We're going to be. Trim that out. Keep that on top. Okay. And come in with a few more wraps underneath. Now I've got to build my post. Oops. The higher you build your post up, the more hackle you can get on. It's kind of up to you on how much you want to put on there and how high you want it to go. Come back all the way back down. Just like that. Get rid of this guy. Then I'll take just a drop of super glue. Kind of hit both sides. Give that a second to dry. Wrap back into it a little bit. So with the microfibets, I like to kind of splay these open and work them a little bit so they stay flared. Kind of like I got it right there. I'll go back to my super glue. This way it has time to dry and set up. And I just take a little bit off my brush with my bodkin. And I just put it right at the back along the top. Kind of like so. And I can lift the tail, quickly swipe underneath. And then as that's starting to dry, because it's going to start drying right away, I can play with these tails to get them to stay open like that. Okay. It's still kind of drying, so I'll just kind of wrap through it briefly. Alright. Next I need to prep my hackle. This is a grizzly hackle that I've dyed kind of a golden tan, I guess is a good word for it. I'm going to prep this dry fly style so that I've got an even I start with an even amount of barbs off of each side, and then I'll, on my tie-in side, or the side that I'm going to wrap around the post or the shank, I'll come up about an extra 1/8 of an inch or so. Now I'm going to start my thread on my front side here, and I want to just get this started up front. Wrap back. Now when I lift this up, I want my bottom barb at the top of my post. And I'll come back over one time and I can lift up. Now I've got that hackle really trapped on there well. Now as I'm doing this too, I'll keep kind of playing with it a little bit to make sure it's going to turn the way I want it to go. There's nothing worse than getting to the top and then realizing it's not going to play nice. Okay. Okay, good. Alright, next I'm going to wrap back to my tail. Now the dubbing blend I have here is just, it's 1 part dry fly hackle, 1 part, or maybe 3/4 part purple ice dub, and then about 1/3 part gray squirrel. I'm just going to kind of line and pull, kind of stack my dubbing. You can wax here if you need to. I'm just going to get it started. I like it really thin here because I've already got all my taper already built in, so I don't need to pre-taper anything or taper my dubbing, as it were. Okay. Get a turn in. Oops. Get that back on there. I leave an extra dubbing on there and just twist as I need it. And that way I can pull off what I don't need. Now I figure 8 these around that post. Kind of like so. And that way as I get towards the end, I can easily remove any extra dubbing that I have. Just pull it off. Don't have to fight with it. Okay. Now you can leave it like this. You can put purple thread on. I'm just going to switch over to some black thread, get it started. Come around my GSP one time, lift both up out of the way. Cross them over. Trim it out. Just build my head. And then I'll wet whip this thing shut. Oh, I did forget to pull my purple thread for the post though. That's okay. We'll switch it out real quick. So for the post, I'm going to switch over to 70 denier UTC purple. I thought I'd already done that, but apparently I did not. Okay. I'm gonna invert my fly, do it the Barry Ord Clark style. I think this is the best way. I haven't tied a parachute any other way since I learned how to do this. Okay, I'm going to start right up top. Get this guy in my way. Now, one thing that's really important here is that you wrap your thread the same direction that you're going to wrap your hackle. This will help stop you from trapping hackles at the base. Okay. Cross my thread over one time. And just quickly take a little bit of super glue off my bodkin, or off the brush onto my bodkin, and just dab it on there. So you don't want that pulling out when you're going to when you're going to finish it. So next I can take this and start wrapping my hackle down. Now, when I get it where I want it, I'm just going to take my thread. You got to kind of maneuver under all your hackle barbs. I've got about 3 turns there. I'm going to lift my hackle back towards the top of the post. Put one over there. I try to keep the hackle on the top or the back side, so that way when I come to cut it out, if there's any stem left over, it's hidden underneath the backside. Let's see if I can. Okay, and then to finish it, I'm just going to wet whip this thing shut. I don't whip finish these. I shouldn't have said wet whip. I'm just going to glue it shut. I don't whip finish these parachutes. I just glue them shut. They work. It works really well. I just give it a minute. Nope, I got one barb trapped right there. Okay. And once I have that, trim out my thread. There you go. That's how I tie my purple haze. Give it a try. Happy tying, everybody. Take care.